Hi, everyone. My name's Sophia.
My name is Hank.
And welcome to You Know Me So Well. So, before we get into this episode, Hank, how have you been? How's life been?
How's life been? Slang, honestly. Yeah. Life's been pretty good. I can't lie. It's the summertime, so I'm feeling great. What about you?
Can't relate. And that is why we are doing this episode today. This episode is for anyone who is just being kicked in the butt by life, going through it, hardcore going through it, whether that is maybe you're going through a breakup, going through a family situation or personal situation, not doing well mentally. I don't know. I can't even think of what else, Hank. What other scenarios could our listeners be in?
You're just down horrendous.
Life is just really not going in your favor right now. So this is for everyone who may find themselves in this position right now or later on, because the truth about life is there's ups and downs, and you're always going to have ups and you're always going to have downs. And so if you are experiencing a down, or if you ever find yourself experiencing a down, you can always come here and listen to this, and hopefully it'll help you out a little and put things in perspective. I personally have been going through it for quite the while. I'm not even going to explain everything that's been going on, but it's been... This isn't okay, I'm going to be honest. I tend to exaggerate. Dramatize. That's what I meant to say. Okay. I tend to dramatize or exaggerate chaos when it's happening in my life. I feel like my life is generally pretty chaotic. I'm a chaotic person, right, Hank?
Yeah, pretty
yeah. I just attract chaos. Chaos just comes to me, which is always lovely. But no, I do love a good chaos, but sometimes, or not sometimes, currently the chaos is bad chaos. It's not oh, so fun chaos. It's life has been really tough, and I've had to deal with some really, really, really tough things that I hope that no one ever has to deal with, but there are definitely people out there who do have to deal with it. And so I was inspired to do this episode, and I don't know, I hope we can just help some people out.
Kind of catching me at one of the few moments of the year where I'm not usually down horrendous. July is usually a slay month for me.
Oh my God, guys, since you said July, I just turned 21.
Yeah.
3 days ago? Wait, what is today?
2 days
2 days ago. Anyways, yeah, I celebrated my birthday 2 days ago, turned 21, which is crazy. I feel so old. But yeah, I had a good couple of days. In the moments of chaos, that day and the day before, which was my mom's birthday, we just had an overall good time. And I'm 21 now.
21.
No, I thought you were going to start singing the song.
Let's go. I very briefly thought about it, but then I decided against it.
I was expecting that. Okay. All right. Let's get into it.
My first tip for how to survive life. It's all about the little things. Find something each day that'll make you happy and something to look forward to. This is really the thing that I do that, I think single-handedly saves me a lot of days. It can really be anything from, a lot of the time for me, it's even just playing Xbox with my friends at the end of the night. It can even be I'm going to make myself my favorite meal when I get home or something like that. Or I'm going to get to hang out when I get home, do absolutely nothing. Whatever you want to do, take a bath, watch your favorite show, whatever helps you relax. If you can just have one thing in the day that'll make you happy, and that, when the days that as tough as you kind of think oh, all right, at least I have this coming up later today. I think that's a major thing.
So my first tip is accept it. I think the biggest thing is you can't change. More likely than not, you can't change what's happening. And even if you can, it's not going to change overnight. So it's not just going to happen automatically. In that case, I think that it's very important to accept the situation. Now, it can be really difficult to do that, of course, because, you may be upset. You may be sad about what's going on. There are situations that are truly terrible that you may find yourself in, and you can't just sit there and say, you know what, I'm just going to accept that this happened. So I think it's important to give yourself a grace period where you sort of deal with the emotions, you process the emotions that come with learning to accept the situation. Give yourself that time, but also gently remind yourself that you are accepting what has happened. Likely you cannot do something about it, and even if you can, it's not going to happen right away. And so you can work towards doing that. And I mean, I think the good thing about having certain situations, if there is a possibility to change it, is it provides you with motivation to push further and to go out of your way to do things. And so there is that positive. But the point is, just remind yourself that for now, you are accepting the situation, deal with the emotions that come with it, give yourself time. Don't be too harsh on yourself for not being able to accept it right away. But once you can accept it, it helps you deal with everything so much better and move along instead of like staying in one place and being angry or being sad or being mad.
Completely agree. I think once you're able to kind of accept it, you're able to kind of get yourself to the point as well that a couple of things I'd written down where you have to remember it does genuinely get better and that, the rain never lasts. Like, once you get to that point of accepting the situation you're in and that maybe not a ton can be done about it right now, and you're just gonna have to kind of suck it up and do what you can to make everything, like, make yourself feel better and, like, do things at the time. Like, once you're able to do that, you can also accept that you're not gonna be in this stage of your life forever. Whatever's going on right now isn't going to, like, be tearing you down forever. It will eventually get better, and you will be able to get yourself out of that.
Yeah, my next tip was know better days are coming. The best way to describe it is life is like a roller coaster ride. You have to go through the lows to get to the highs, and there's always going to be highs and there's always going to be lows, as I said at the beginning of this episode. The best reminder when life gets hard is to remember that everything is temporary and this moment will not last forever. I know that at times it feels like something is going to last forever, but it's not. Like, I promise. And honestly, like, you can put it into perspective and think back to other times where you were going through a low and everything sucked and everything was really difficult and you were really going through it, and think about how you were able to come out of that and think about what good came out of it too. One of the best sayings that has stuck with me for years, honestly, I don't usually hold on to like sayings people say, but this one was from my dance teacher. I took improv dance. This was one of the last like proper dance classes I took before I kind of stopped dancing for good. But it was an improv class, and for anyone who doesn't know what improv is, it's basically freestyle dancing. Like, you dance as you want, but our teacher would kind of guide us through and would give us exercises to do. And many times he would tell us to freeze, and we, like, while in the midst of us dancing, we'd be in the most uncomfortable position. You're standing on one leg, like your body's aching, like you think you're about to collapse, and he would just keep us there. And he would basically watch us all just like struggling to stay frozen. And in that moment, he would tell us, nothing lasts forever. And for some reason, it's so simple. It's such a simple saying, but for some reason, this saying has stuck with me. And it's something that I remind myself of from time to time. Now, the funny thing about it, though, is I usually remind myself of the saying when things are good. Like, I don't know why, but the point is, it is a saying that I've held on to. And I think it's a saying that can sort of put everything into perspective. You're right. Nothing lasts forever. I'm not standing in an uncomfortable position right now because that freeze dance situation did not last forever. It probably lasted for like a minute max, and then I could gallop on my way. But the point is, like, you just have to know, like, you have to go through the lows to get to the highs. And I think that can really incentivize you to just work through it, to keep going. Sometimes it can be really hard to find motivation to keep going when things are bad. But the point is, I think knowing that there is going to be better and it is coming soon, because if you're going through a low right now, you're going to go through a high sooner rather than later, that can push you through, and that should push you through.
100%. That's a great saying too. And to kind of touch on the thing that you said about like how you remind yourself of that in good times. it's actually kind of like a good tip to make it so that you're able to kind of balance yourself out. As much as like when the good times happen, everyone wants to feel that like high, like that almost like ridiculously like exciting feeling. If you're able to kind of balance that out as well, it also actually makes it a lot easier for you to balance out the really negative lows as well. If you can like kind of just take off some like the ends, you'll help be able to make yourself like more balanced and be able to like more like compose yourself more in, you know, the hardest and strongest moments. I think another thing that you should try to do is try to get a small circle of people that you care about and trust. Whether this is friends or family, or, I mean, I'll say this now because it's another thing I've written down, is seek help from like professionals, like other people you trust. And I feel like it's gotten a lot better in recent days, or in like recent years, but like there still is like a very strong stigma around that type of stuff. Like there's a lot of people who think like, oh, I can't like reach out to anyone, like if I do, like no one would care, or like if I do, you know, they'll think I'm weak or whatever, anything like that. And it's like I really understand those feelings, you know, I feel those things too, and like it's a really hard thing to kind of get over and get past. But there really is nothing better that you can do for your mental health than, I think, opening up to the people that you know and trust about it. And if there, like I said, if there is no one that you're friends or family with that you would feel close to it, try therapy, try a psychiatrist. Like there's so many resources. There's no reason for you to have, you're never truly alone. And it's really easy to feel alone during these type of times. But there's always going to be someone that you can talk to about this stuff, even if it's a solution that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before, and maybe you're not 100% sure about it. You know, go for it. And like if you have a friend who you're not sure how they would react if you talk to them about the stuff you're going through, if they react negatively, it's probably not a friend you want in your life. Like you need to just don't be afraid to open to the people you care about and trust that they'll be there for you and care about you as well.
Yeah, we talk a lot more in depth about this kind of stuff on our mental health episode. So if you're interested in that, you can go listen to it if you haven't already. But yeah, I didn't have this on my list, but I definitely thought about it because I think it's important to have people that you can confide in, because bottling things up is only going to make it worse. You need to have an outlet to express what's going on. And of course, that doesn't necessarily have to be like talking to other people, but I think talking to other people is
it's a good
way to do it. Like, and it's usually a good place to start as well. Okay. My next one is kind of similar to what Hank said at the beginning. It's have something to yourself. I think it's important to have something to yourself in moments of chaos, specifically something that brings you comfort, can provide you with a release, maybe a little escape from life, whatever it is. That can be meditating or working out or watching your show. It can come in any shape or form as long as it allows you to have a moment to yourself where you can take a break from thinking about everything that's going on. I think it's important also that it's a healthy release. I know people tend to, you know, when they're under a lot of stress, pressure, et cetera, sometimes we tend to go for unhealthy things that tend to result in worse circumstances than we are in currently. And while it's tempting to do that, I think that it is really, really important for yourself, for your well-being, to make things better, to make things more manageable, to go for things that are healthy, but are going to make you, I want to say happy, but happy is a feeling. It's not. But anyways, the point is something healthy that is going to make you feel better, even if it's just for a short while. I think we all need releases. We all need escapes from time to time. Obviously, you don't want to be overindulging in that and ignoring everything that's happening outside of whatever brings you comfort, brings you an escape. But the point is, from time to time, we need stuff that is going to just give us some time to ourselves, give us something else to do.
100%. And, you know, to kind of go off of that, I mean, the one thing I've written down is find like hobbies that you truly care about. Again, this does kind of go off of what I said in the beginning of, you know, finding like the little things to get you through the day. But I think having, you know, an outlet, like Sophia said, you know, talking about outlets earlier, it could be talking to people, it can be something else. I think having some sort of hobby that maybe is creative, lets you get out your emotions, like something art or music, or even just something, I don't know, like cooking, like something that just like takes your mind off of, whatever it is you're facing in life. It doesn't have to be anything specific at all. Like there's no rule book. It is genuinely whatever makes you feel better about yourself or your situation, takes your mind off it a little bit, makes you feel a little bit better. It's incredibly important to me, I think, to have that kind of that almost an escape from the real world. Your own little hobby is kind of like your own escape from everything else, and you get to put yourself in your own world and do your own thing and do whatever you want to do, and no one else can tell you how to do it, and you get to do it exactly as you want. I think it's incredibly important to have something like that. And there's a million different hobbies out there. It can be difficult to find which one is right for you. So don't get like frustrated if you try a bunch of stuff, you don't find what you like. I mean, I think just keep trying. There's so many different things you can do.
I agree, but also I want to say that I do realize in moments of chaos we may not have a lot of time to try and find what's going to work for us. And so in that case, I would say go for things that generally have helped. I'm sure there's at least one thing that you have tended to gravitate towards in both good and bad moments that you've enjoyed. Go towards that. Okay, my next one is be kind to yourself. It's not uncommon that when we're down in general, we can get really hard on oneself. You're just making everything harder if you let yourself do that, okay? You have to be there for yourself. You have to love yourself through the ups and downs. Be proud of how you're handling everything. Remind yourself that you're only becoming stronger by getting through this period. Seek out ways to make yourself feel better. As I said before, have something for yourself, but also do things that are generally proven to make you feel better mentally and physically, such as meditation, working out, spending time in nature. Remind yourself of the things that make you feel good and allow yourself access to that stuff. Sometimes we think that, life is so busy and we don't have time. Make time. Make time, okay? Time that would be spent doing something that maybe you think is going to make you feel better but doesn't necessarily feel better. Like, for example, scrolling through social media. Doom scrolling is such a huge one. I feel like personally, for the longest time, when I first started going to therapy, I did this thing called CBT therapy, cognitive-based therapy. Sorry, that you may not know what CBT is. But the point is, they basically created these, they asked me what are some things you like to do? And then basically told me you can use these as strategies to help you through things. And unfortunately, my top one was sort of watching videos, like something like that, watching videos, watching movies. And I basically ended up translating that to whenever I felt down, if I was crying or if I was really going through it, if I was feeling very deep emotions, my automatic reaction would be to go straight to my phone to calm me down. And it would be when you put a pacifier in a baby and they stop crying, that was literally what my phone was to me. But that would result in me just laying there, sitting there, doom scrolling on TikTok or through my phone. And ultimately that just it didn't really actually help. Sure, it made me stop feeling things. It made me numb to my emotions for at least a set period of time, but that would result in me just doom scrolling and scrolling for hours on end until I finally could suppress all the emotions. And it's that seems like a good idea, but it's really not, So Hank was yeah, no, that sounds horrible. So the point is when you are looking for things that are going to make you feel better, you need to do stuff that are genuinely going to make you feel better, not things that you think are going to make you feel better, but are going to have actually a worse effect on you. Be kind to yourself. And in addition to being kind to yourself, I think it's just a good rule of thumb to be kind in general. You never know. And I think you only really realize this. I've only realized this as I'm going through everything that I've been going through, and I've been having a hard time, and I've been, going through it essentially. I don't know. There's no better way to describe it. I've been going through it. Okay. Down horrendous, however you want to think about it. That's been me. Okay. Anyways, the point is I have sort of realized that people's actions, while it may seem harmless, can be really detrimental to someone who is having a hard time in general. And so I think it's just important to be kind be nice. You know, it doesn't hurt to just be a kind human being, whether that is in person, whether that is online, whatever kind of medium it's through. Just make it like a general rule of thumb to try and be as kind as you can to people around you, because you really do never know what they're going through. And many times it's the people who seem like they have their life together, seem the happiest, seem like their lives are perfect, that are actually going through the most. And I've seen this time and time again. And I think same here, like most people probably wouldn't know what I'm going through unless I told them. And they may think that I am just like a happy human being, because that's generally the face that I put on. But there's only very few people who actually know what's going on. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, always. Self-love, always.
Of course. Always. That's so actually very well connects to one of my last points. This is gonna sound like the most stereotypical advice on the planet. And you probably heard it before and you're like, shut up, shut up, shut up. But it's just like, it's just to work out and eat well and treat your body well. It's again, I'm sure you've heard this a million times. You're like, that's not going to fix everything. 100% not going to fix everything at all. But it is, I don't know how to describe it. It makes everything feel a little bit easier, though. And it makes you feel just a little bit better mentally. Just, it gives you a little bit more drive. It's going to offset some of the things, a lot of the negative effects that, you know, come from whatever you're going through. It's, if your body feels well, it'll help your mind feel well, and it'll help you feel well.
Yeah. Outing myself a little. I am a terror to deal with for Hank and Hank only when I am lacking food, lacking sleep, lacking movement, and probably some other things. But those are the main three I can think of. Hank, do you agree? Be honest.
Perhaps a little bit.
I am a terror to deal with. And it's funny because my parents actually, whenever I kind of come to them and I'm like, I'm really struggling mentally, their first thing is, yeah, well, you need to like actually eat, you know, like, are you eating? Are you having meals, proper meals, good food? Like, that's their whole concern. And I'm like, that doesn't account for anything. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But they're like, no, like, actually though, you have always, from like the time that you were a little kid, you always got like super grumpy, like just this little ball of terror every time you hadn't eaten for a while. And the moment we gave you food, everything changed. So
it has been a thing that I've noticed with Sophia our entire relationship. It would be like if we
wait,
it's like
do you remember
was
it, didn't my mom once ask you whether like my mom put Hank on the spot and was like, isn't it true that like when Sophia doesn't eat anything, she just gets like, you know, all whatever she said. I don't know what she said. Yeah. And Hank just was sitting there like really conflicted as to whether he I can't speak. He should agree or not, because I was sitting there watching him.
I'm pretty sure I just said nothing in this situation. But it is most definitely a thing with her that, you know, like, I would notice it would be fine the whole day, and then it's like she would hit a wall. And if she did not have food, it was going to get real bad really quickly. And it was like, there would be a lot of times it'd start to get towards the evening, like towards night, and all of a sudden her mood would change. And I'd look at the clock and think about when we had the last meal, and I was like, yep, it's time to get some dinner. It's time to figure this out now.
Yeah, so I know for a fact I'm not alone in that. And so as Hank said, if you are feeling down, if you are having a hard time, especially mentally and physically, think to yourself, when was the last time I ate? What did I eat? Did I eat something that was good for me, or did I eat something that, you know, wasn't great? Like if you're eating candy, that's going to give you a sugar high and you're going to crash at some point, for example. Have I gotten some movement? Maybe have I gone outside? I'm not really an outdoor girly. I just realized that. Fun fact, my parents moved. We lived in an apartment my whole entire life. My parents moved to a house recently, and I moved back until I go back to school, so a couple months. But long story short, I totally forgot we had a backyard. Like, I legitimately had been living here for a week before I remembered, oh, like I could just go out and get some fresh air. And that's problematic. So yeah, check yourself. You know, you may not want to check yourself, but check yourself. Like really do check yourself before you proceed. Because if you haven't filled those boxes, chances are things aren't as bad as you think they are, or things are more manageable than you think they are. So that can help. Okay. I'm not saying that your situation is all perfect now, but the point is it'll be easier to manage through things. Anyways, my last one is seek out the good. This one kind of ties back to what I was saying in the last one. And I know this seems really hypocritical because when life is throwing you to the wolves and they're eating you alive, it's like, how are you going to seek out the good? Okay. Personally, I'm living with an example where it's like, what is the good? Okay. Like there's not a lot of good in that situation. But that being said, I think it's important, sort of with the whole self-love thing, to think about what this situation is leading to. And many times when you go through a tough situation, it is leading you to be more resilient, to be stronger, to be more capable, to be able to accomplish more under stressful or difficult circumstances. There's this lovely little song that I actually sang at my 4th grade graduation. I don't know why, but I did. And it goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And like legitimately, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You do become a stronger human being with every low that you go through. And that's a good thing. Okay. And so, yeah, I agree. There are horrible situations to be in where it seems like A, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and B, there's no good in the situation. But know that your ability to make it through is only making you more resilient and stronger and is going to help you out in the future big time.
Yeah, 100%. This is definitely very true.
So, and also going back to my lovely little manager who I was talking to yesterday, not lovely little manager, lovely manager that I was talking to yesterday, you know, he was saying like, I had cancer and that was a horrible thing to go through. And yet he has this whole thing that he likes to take a positive outlook on things, which is like, okay, if someone has cancer, you know, what's really the positive outlook for that? But he said, the way I thought about it is maybe I'm helping a doctor perfect their craft. And I was like, that's such an interesting outlook. It is a crazy way to look at it. And I'm not expecting that everyone's going to be able to look at things that way, because I legitimately was like, wow, I would never, ever, to be in that situation, I would never, ever think that. I would be struggling. But it's a good thing that he looked at it from a positive outlook. And I think that probably helped him actually get through it as well. So I think that also seeing the good in situations will help you get through things. And that's all the tips for me. Hank, do you have anything else?
That's all for me.
I have to tell actually a really funny story from my 21st birthday. So Hank doesn't know the story. So we're sitting at dinner, right? And my sister goes, everyone, like, let's go around the table and share our favorite memory from Sophia. And my sister's favorite memory is basically just this really traumatizing memory for her. Like, she was like, I was traumatized. And so everyone proceeded to, instead of saying their favorite memory of me, proceed to start saying their most traumatizing memory of me, which is a great way to celebrate your birthday. Anyways, my mom tells me the story. I've never heard it in my whole entire life, but I was literally laughing, like dying laughing. She was explaining how when I was younger, I guess I was at the playground. We were at the playground, me and her, and I was with my friends, and for some reason, they were being mean to me. They were not being nice human beings, which is not good. Be kind. I stick with that. Be kind. But anyways, they were being mean to me, whatever. My mom was like, okay, clearly I need to get her out of here. So she was trying to, you know, take me away from the situation, take me away from that negative energy, right? She was trying to get me out of the park. And I guess that she like got me out of the park, and I proceeded like to run up the wall, like legitimately jump the wall to get back into the park to go hang out with these kids. Not kidding. Not kidding. Like, when she said run the wall, I was like, oh, she meant like I went kind of crazy or something. No, she meant like I legitimately jumped the wall. Like, I was probably 4 years old, jumped the wall. And my mom was like, you've always been the type of person to go after negative energy, and you still do it to this day. And I was like, oh God, this is not good. And she's so right. Like, I do, for some reason, I do allow myself to deal with more negative energy than anyone should. But the point is, I thought that was really funny. I might have been 3 too. Like, I don't even know how old I would have been. But anyways...
ultra athlete.
Yeah, like what? Someone should have gotten me into. Is there any sport where you run up a wall?
I can't say
Pole
that there
vaulting
is.
is the closest thing I can think of.
Yeah, you could be a little track star.
She a runner, she a track star. She can run away when it gets hard. Oh wow, that's really fitting for this episode. Don't run away though. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Anyways, that's pretty much our episode. Please follow us. Oh, also, I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a website. You should go check it out at podcast.com. You can see my lovely creation. I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into that. That was after we recorded our last batch, so I don't think anyone's heard about it. But yeah, go check that out. We have all our social media pages. You can go follow us there as well. We'd love if you leave us a message. We'll create like a little Q&A. We figured out that we can create Q&As in Spotify. I don't know if any other streaming platforms let you do this, but whatever. If you're listening to us in Spotify, you can leave us a little message down below in the little Q&A section. We'd love to hear from you. Like, share whatever you want to share with us, or you can always DM us at our Instagram, YKMSW podcast. That's our @ So go find it, follow us, send us a message. We want to hear from you. And that's about it, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.